Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Casting Conflicts, where today we have another great matchup lined up for you guys. Now, as you remember from last episode, we had Asteroid taking on the debuting Who Cares, and unfortunately, Asteroid not successful in that set. Weird tie scenario ended up costing him the set as we moved into that second matchup here, so he has fallen down a bit on the leaderboards. However, today we have a great matchup for you, but before we get to that, introducing a new caster to the lineup here. We've got DeathsAdvocate on commentary, a substitute for Tweakin. Death, how you doing today? You doing pretty good?
Doing pretty well. I don't think I'm brand new. I've been here before, but it's been a minute.
It has. It has. I don't know if me and you did commentary before, so that's why I might have just jumped on the assumption of brand new. But regardless, today we've got a great matchup lined up for you as we've got Jump taking on Allen. What looks to be a very interesting sort of scenario here. Now, Death, I'm going to let you start out here because you've actually faced Jump in the start of the season here, and you've got some experience with, or at least going up against his deck. Tell me, what do you think we can expect to see out of Jump today? What's going to be the big idea that he's going to be trying to nail down, especially against Allen's deck?
I mean, he's been sticking with his Druid Crusader good stuff list, which is just really solid. It's just sort of in the name. It's just good stuff. You've got the staple gold cards like Praxis and I guess that's really Praxis and Cleric, and then on the Druid side, of course, you've got Companions, and then he's got a little bit of a Swarm focus with Globals and Rat King, so with Call for Aid and Praxis. The Three Hands of Saints is an interest. It's a solid card, but I don't see it that often, especially not in lieu of Arbiters. And let's see, let's compare it to what we got going on.
Over on the other side of things. I mean, Allen was the Druid Crusader. Allen, I think, yeah, he has changed. He is in that new deck, the Druid Crusader, like you mentioned here. I was referring to Jump inside of the Druid Pirate, which I think, you've actually faced before here on the show at the start of the season.
Did I get their list mixed up there? Take it. I worked so hard to avoid that. Oh well. Yeah, the Druid Pirate list was it's definitely a list that just always sort of scares me. It has a habit of wrecking a lot of things I like to play. It's just the combination of ranged and companions with some aggression is always a strong combination.
Right. And with things pairing like the Southport Scope can be pretty scary. The big Call for Aids, seeing a lot of globals here, and especially the Maddies pulling some very dangerous mages, things like Headwood, maybe Magic Eater, maybe a good old Tarius or two that could be game ending. So yeah, definitely scary on that end. But I'm curious to see how he'll do against Allen today, who's actually switched up. We mentioned that before. He is off of the Mystic Rats package, the deck that he's been kind of known to always play. He hasn't really changed off anything, even back in Season 1. So I'm very curious to see maybe why he made the change and maybe if the change is successful here. I mean, you already mentioned he's got things like Hands of the Same, which can do pretty good healing work, although not usually the typical choice we see. Things like the Manicore Spirit Link should be fun. All the globals, 3 copies of all Armory, Smith, and Bard. It should be very exciting. Who do you predict, though, it might see a win here?
Let's see. I think the Crusader list has a pretty good matchup against Druid. It doesn't rely on ranged units or buildings, and it's really good at fending off aggro. So this is the exact type of list you want to bring against sort of an aggressive white-green. I think he's got a pretty good chance, although he's got the companions to deal with the opposing ranged threats and buildings. So I think I would favor the Druid Crusader in this matchup, just because it is sort of exactly one of the few lists that isn't super vulnerable to that white-green and is a pretty good counter to it. But they're both really strong lists and solid players, so it's hard to say for sure. But if I had to place my bets, I'd place it on the Druid Crusaders being able to take out white-green.
Right, and I think I'm in that same vein. I think Druid Crusader has been doing a lot recently. It's not really as run in our higher ladders of competition, obviously due to what else is currently on the boards. However, I do think it is a solid deck list, and I think I am really excited to see how it performs here today. So, without further ado, Death, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into match number one. Let's go ahead and see who takes it. Match number one starting now. Alright, folks, jumping into match number one. An all spell hand from Alan. He's going to cycle away all of
Oh,
that.
replacing the Bestial Rage. That's a surprise.
I mean, he had no units in hand, so I mean, I
I guess
guess.
so, but yeah, it's true. If you really want an opening play, you really want an opening play. It just feels bad to replace a Bestial Rage, especially against a building slash range deck.
That is true. I understand where you're coming from there. Not a bad start though from both players. Gonna do a lumberjack trade here. Alan gonna get the book drop, I imagine, for turn 3. Yep, even though it draws a lumberjack, he will play the books on curve. Very nice.
Lumber into book, real solid.
Indeed. Gets a hovel response
There's the
from Jump.
hovel.
Ooh, we can remove that with the centaur
He's,
this turn if we want.
yeah, he's got the centaur in hand. That's pretty much got to be the play. I mean, I guess lining up a cleric. Oh, he's just going to go for the aggro. Okay, cleric and aggro. Okay, that's solid.
Kind of makes sense creating a
Big.
big 5/5 book. Yeah, I mean, just
Yeah,
gonna force some
especially
kind of
since the
response.
cleric's gonna fix whatever the rat does, anyways.
Exactly, that's the idea here. Now, does Jump's deck have a response to this? Is my question. Ugh.
Not really. Like, it's the type of deck that wants to stick down hovel and an opening play, and then bank on ranged. Once the other side is in your face, that deck has a pretty hard time. Like, it's absolutely brutal to so many matchups, but like this is the exact scenario that highlights its big weakness.
Right, and we're gonna see Jump coin into a call for aid for turn, so essentially setting up the play for next turn, kind of telegraphing that he needs some rangers out here now. Alan can do the
Yeah,
same thing if he wants to, popping a call for aid here and continuing to apply pressure with these units on face.
Ranger will be an answer to that 5/5 book, but yeah, this is looking pretty well lost already.
Yeah, there's just
Yeah, no,
way too
Ranger's
much
not going
coming
to
out.
save him. He's got lethal on board now. I don't. There's not much he can do versus that strong of a start.
Right. Just looking around the board here. I mean, we can remove the lumberjack with the rat. We're forced to take the centaur trade with one of these rangers, and it does actually no, that's still lethal. I'm miscounting. I thought he had
No,
8 over
I mean
7.
5. Oh no, if he plays the Ranger, which wait, does the Ranger cost 5
The ranger
or?
does cost 5 thanks to the discount, so it would
Okay,
be
so
all his
he
gold.
he would he'd be left with 2 health. He could survive with 2 health.
No, but he drops the respect early in a very quick match number 1
Oh,
here. Jeez. One of the
yeah.
faster ones we've
And
had
I think
here.
he should have played it out. He could have survived with 2 health and not likely recovered, but
So would put up a
I would
fighting
have tried.
chance. Yeah. At
Yeah,
the end, it's always
and
disheartening to see people kind of surrender, throw the game away, even if they might have had a player or two left in the tank here, just to show that
uh,
they're not necessarily dead in the water. But I mean, who
and
am I to
sometimes you
say?
don't want to show your hand, but well, I guess his deck's public, and I think he did make the right call buffing up the book. Like my gut reaction was kill the rats, but I think he actually made the better play there. Just that early aggro.
Right, I agree as well. So, I mean, with that being said, we do have a post game to look at before we get into match number 2, so let's go ahead and jump to that right now. All right, folks, and welcome back after game number 1. Quite a quick one to start us off, as Alan really put the pressure to the face here with those flying books in the early game. Combine that with the blessing and just a solid slew of cheap drops. Jump just couldn't find himself responding and saw himself lose the matchup here. And quite a way to start things out, huh, Death? Quite a way.
Yeah, green white really needs just a moment to set up its ranged building wall, and if stuff is just in your face immediately, you can have a pretty bad time. And the Druid Crusaders did have a couple tough choices to make. Go for the aggro buff or go for clearing the rat hovel, and he opted for the just go face, which definitely panned out since other deck just didn't really have an answer. was
Right.
surprisingly quick, but even then, there was some interesting nuance to it.
Yeah, I would agree there. And with that being said, I do think folks are looking forward to game number 2 here, especially since Allen took it so quickly. I'm curious to see how Jump will respond. Are you ready for the next match, Death? Because I think I am.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Match number 2 starts now. All right, folks, in game number 2 now underway. Of course, Allen with the set point here, swapping away the blessing of the blacksmith, or at least one of the blacksmiths. Surprising the blessing is going because that was the big
Yeah,
MVP from last game.
again, I'm a little confused by some of his replaces. Like, I guess he's just, looking for units and figures he can get buffs later. He just wants lots of units. But I don't know. I really like having those early buffs in a lot of matchups. Although he is against some different colors here, but I don't know.
Yeah, he is
Hard to
up
say.
against the yellow-blue. Not a whole lot that we usually see in the top tiers with blue-yellow. War Party, though, can be a funny choice here if that is
Well,
the
I think
case.
just good stuff freeze is absolutely a top tier tech. People just hate playing it and playing against it, so you
That's
don't see
true.
that much
That
of
is
it.
true.
But I think it's definitely very much a top tier deck because it's got an
Ooh.
answer to everything and no real particular weakness other than having to wait an hour for every single game you play and play flawlessly.
That is true. Moving in now, we've got a Winds play a little early on here. Pretty interested to see where this goes here, although I'm not
Wings.
sure if that's the nice idea, considering that we're moving a lot of these closer. And now we're going to start to see the Drew crew go into the buff game, potentially with these Smiths and Bards coming down in the next few turns.
And I'm guessing he's just trying to set up lightning. And most often you see that pole combined with pillar or something, but I guess if he's just going for heavy lightning, you can't go wrong. It's not a bad card by any stretch. It's
No, certainly
super
not.
versatile.
I'm not sure what we're going to see at the grand scheme of things, though, is what I'm mentioning
Yeah,
here.
we've got that same just very early aggression doing a lot of work here. But there's that pillar.
Yep, pillar number 1 comes down, hits the board here. With no companions to remove it either, the centaur was played to remove the
Yeah,
cultist. This is going to prove a bit of a pain,
yeah,
especially with
especially
that
because he
priest
can't
buff.
really move up that cleric either. Because if he moves that cleric up, like it's just going to get frozen too. And yeah, now it's out of companion range. Ooh, this is he turned around what was looking really painful there, really quick there.
Now we're going to see kind of Allen swing past the turn, just going for a call for aid. Beefing up those, getting these 2 discounted rangers into his hand, but that's
Yeah,
about it. Can't really respond to the pillar all too well, and doesn't really feel like the
no.
buffs are impactful at this point here. Very interested to see how Jump's going to capitalize on this. I mean, he's got 2 frozen units in the back here. He removes one of those centaurs with the priest, and the sentry golem.
Well, that's an unusual. It's not bad, especially if you're running sort of a slower freeze list, but it's certainly unusual.
Certainly, and Allen's got no clear way to remove this either. I mean, he could play
Mm.
Smith and
The
Bard, but that's
Rangers
one
are going to
off.
be a big deal if there isn't any more freeze. But if he runs into any more freeze, he's going to be really stuck. Which is what you know, which is that deck I was talking about. That slow freeze focus stall list that shifts into lightning or sudden death. It's very good.
I mean, he did say we were
And
speed running this, so I think he might have just kind of flipped the script a little bit here.
like no, let's take it down a notch.
Yeah, and now getting the church down, plus the wizard here. Church is going to start repairing
Okay.
this castle in for the
Yeah,
long
it,
game, it
it
looks
is
like.
looking like that sort of stall based freeze list that I was talking about. Definitely really different from what I'm more accustomed to seeing. Like I don't usually see wins and golem, but there's a lot of different tools. All are valid.
Indeed, all are valid here, and we're setting up for another pillar potentially. For that
Mm.
priest to just run down and plop one and gives Jump the opportunity to set up this golem in a pretty nasty spot. We'll see if he's got it though. I mean, certainly
Just
in a
doesn't really
awkward
care
position.
about taking castle damage in the position he's in. He's like, yeah,
That's
come on,
that's
come set myself up for lightning later.
That's entirely fair. Oh, and the Craxus draw off the Frozen Priest.
Oh, oh,
Fantastic.
oh boy. Yeah, he shut down that early aggression hard, which after the last game, who can blame him? He's like,
Oh, absolutely not.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen again.
Oh, the problem is, what does he do about all these other units in the back here? I mean, they're gonna get only stronger with how many buffs are inside of this deck here. We have Bard sitting in hand
That
after
deck
all.
can just sit and wait. The more the board fills up, the more impactful lightning will be.
That is
He's got
true.
all the time in the world. That's what that deck's all about. You just got to be really patient to play it.
And I mean, that's a style that Jump is proficiently knowledgeable in. Always, just one of those players who, much like yourself, is accustomed to just kind of using all the time allotted here to make the most methodical, calculated plays possible. So I'm not surprised that he's doing it here. Right.
I like the golem tech, just going for deflect, yet another layer to the deck of I'm gonna wait and bide my time here. But yeah, there's that rampage thing. That's his real hope in this match is if he can just rampage through that wall.
Right, and he did take a big chunk out of the castle with it. Over 9 damage is not exactly super easy to clean up with just a single church. He needs more time to do that,
With
and
with
if
that double ranger on the field, if he doesn't get another freeze, he's in trouble.
exactly, he is in trouble here. I like to see another wins pull,
I,
but that would mean that he
yeah, I want to see more freeze. Just like I want to see it get flipped around again. It's been such an interesting match.
I mean, Yenneroth is a possibility here. We've got 9 gold.
Yeah, Yenneroth, got lots of options. But yeah, no, double ranger rampage was his answer, and it might end up still doing the job. We'll see, though. It's far
Unfortunately,
from over.
ooh,
Ah, naked rat. Okay, not quite naked. He got the lightning in after all.
nope. I think is it gonna be enough to? Okay, yes, the wizard will be enough
Look,
to finish off the
just
chain.
enough.
Yeah, we do leave the cleric alive by 1, but we can place this rat up for a body block, which is
Yeah,
fine.
but a one health cleric is no big deal.
Right, especially given the circumstances here. I mean, even with the fat bar, not enough to survive past the chain lightning unless the heal procs on the. Ooh, are we gonna? Ooh, oh.
Really? That might be the first time I've ever seen that. Fascinating.
So using the
You got to
typical
do what you got to do.
yeah, I mean, typically the castle or that Hands of the Saint is reserved for big castle healing plays, but we're gonna use it to be more aggressive here.
Yeah,
Shut
I
down
mean,
the
hell,
wizard.
he needs to be like if you give that deck time, that's what that deck's all about. If you give it time, you lose, and he realizes he can't afford to go really late game against those colors.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Certainly not the position he wants to be in. Although Jump's got a bit of, at least I imagine he has to have some options here. Swordsman for turn, okay, that's gonna. Ooh, and the
Yep,
cloak.
there's the extra freeze.
Yeah,
I've always loved this deck. Like it's radically different from what I play and what I'm used to seeing, but it's really neat seeing some of his choices. Just uh, like because with cleave you can multi-proc lightning and running deflect just to make it even harder to answer. There's lots of really neat stuff going on. Like I stopped playing the deck a while ago just because while I am patient, it's just a deck that's also really easy to mess up. Like you've got to be really on point with your positioning and predictions. If you screw up, you get in trouble.
All right, now we're just seeing the panic from Allen a little bit here. He's kind of just out, just extending his hand out, playing the blessing early on that cleric here, extending with the books for trying to get more draw. I think he's in a
It,
panic mode here, trying to search for some answers.
yeah.
Swordsman connects onto the frozen cleric, removing it from the board here, setting up a additional temple.
Ooh. Yeah, if Mystic Rats comes down, it's probably over. Alan's still got a chance if he can, deal with either the pillar or uh, the our cleave bro there. He can swing this around since he's just got such strong global buff presence going here.
Even more so with the
But
armory.
if he can't deal with that freeze that's already on the board, like his units are meaningless.
It's true. That is true there. And I kind of, you realize why the blessing might have been a mistake here to play preemptively. You've now wasted the opportunity to use that big 8/8 cleric on face, where you could have had it run up and
Yeah.
actually knock a couple of
Well,
these
not that you
units.
actually want it to hit face right now, because then it would just get frozen.
That's true. Yeah.
So, well, you're not wrong. At the same time, at this
Debatable.
particular moment, it
Yeah,
wouldn't matter.
that is
Because
true
if you
there.
just run up and freeze it, that's just giving up his most powerful tool on the board.
That's fair. I do. I want to wonder though, like, what do you think Jump's big win con here is? Because I don't really think
It's usually Yarm or sudden death. Like that's what I use.
a
Well,
combination of both.
rats, Yarm, and sudden death. Like that's where we're going with it. He's super set up for like a big late game rat play right now. Like he's just got all the time in the world. He will wait till rats or sudden death get the job done.
Yeah, more so now. He's gonna go digging with Tari's here. This could be
Oh yeah,
pretty disgusting. Moving the golem out of the book range in case there's another global in hand, which we know by this hand there isn't, but still heads up plays from Jump here. It does allow the books to come in, swing against the temple, or at least one of the two temples, which is going to be
yeah.
taken
It
here.
does end up with a frozen book, but those temples are definitely problematic.
Especially for when we potentially get into the threat of big mystic rat. You don't want them dealing
Yeah,
two chain on top of the
big
existing
Mystic Rat
tables.
is a bad deal.
So we'll
I
see.
gotta say, I'm loving this match.
So, I mean, a much different pace from the first game, where we've
Complete opposite.
what, tripled the game time of that first
Oh,
encounter, more so.
way more, way more. We are into the exponentials. Yeah, no, he's happy to just chill and wait for sudden death if the rats don't show up.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no problem. He's got the church after
And
all.
with
He's got the
with
continuous healing.
like what white yellow has like no spell removal, so
They rely on the companions
this
to be
was
their
an
removal. Yeah.
excellent counter pick. Like great at shutting down early aggro and really good at stopping things that lack, you know, ways to clear buildings or freeze. Like companions don't quite do it here.
Do get a funny little chain
Yep.
interaction from the swordsman.
Yeah, I was hoping to see it. Hoping to see some double chain.
What do we do about the Craxus, though? That is still a bit of a problem card that we can't
Well,
really. Well, I think we have enough to deal with it from. Oh nope, we got a cloak. We got a cloak.
that's how we're gonna deal with it.
Yep, my bad.
A
There's a
cloak
cloak.
on deflect is just so rude.
It really is. No spell removal. You just gotta punch it
Not that
straight
he
on.
has any spell removal, but still.
There's a centaur a little bit too late, my friend, for you to be showing up here in this matchup. Not a
I
whole
mean, the
lot that he can.
centaur was too late after like that turn 3 priest. Well, with the globals, maybe not, but still.
Oh my god. Here, I mean, he wants to play it, I think, but I mean, the swordsman being on face is
Yeah,
absolutely brutal. You have to interact
I
with it, but
I
this
don't
deck
see him
doesn't.
coming back. I don't see him coming back. Just that he's got no answers to the deflecting freeze.
No, absolutely none. Not, I mean, not just the deflecting freeze, but the swordsman freeze. I mean, that's just gonna
I
kill
mean,
him every time he attacks it.
The Rat King. Yeah, just yeah, he has to deal with that cleave in his face to not instantly die. And then he might be able to make a comeback with just Rat King spam, but no, he's dead to sudden death right here. So it's
Yeah.
over.
So he's going to toss out of the surrender. He's got nothing left to really show in this matchup here. And that will mean game number 2 goes to Jump in a drastically different fashion. Oh my word.
Yeah. I'm so happy we got to see a variation of the exact deck I was talking about.
That's certainly exciting stuff here. But I really want to know just what else maybe Jump was hiding in that deck. Obviously, we'll see in the post match when that comes up. But man,
I'm sure it was Yarm, Rats, or both.
well, I mean, we'll take a look here. So with that being said, folks, let's go ahead and look at game 2 before we get to game 3 right now. All right, folks, and back after game number 2, and what a longer one that was. Certainly much
Uh,
different from the 3 minute, close to 4 minute match we had to start the game. Yeah, just in wildly different directions here, Death. Wildly different.
Equal and opposite reaction. It was glorious.
But what a way for Jump to kind of swing back here in game number two. Played a slow, methodical freeze game that just worked as a, I think, as we said in the matchup, a direct sort of hard counter pick to what Allen decided to do with his deck, and it worked out well.
Yep.
Worked out perfectly.
Just no answer to pillar at all. Like not no spell answer. So he just fell prey to pillar traps, into deflect aura, into wind swordsman.
Yeah, I mean, an incredible amount of work this deck was able to do here. And looking at the deck now, from an outside perspective, we assume that like Yarm probably the solid win con here, but a lot of interesting choices. Obviously, Death mentioned before we started kind of broadcasting this that Rat King with no Mystic. That's pretty big here. No L-Blade
Yeah.
as well to follow up. I mean, looking at the deck here, you've got Hand, you've got Reclaim. No L-Blade to be found, even with things like Swordsman, which could be a great enabler for big Lightning Blade plays.
Lots of strange picks. Nothing bad. It's just some very odd ones. Like not only some of the choices, like Reclaim, but also just some of the exclusions. But it was still just a really good deck that did its job really well.
And overall, it produced a wildly great game. I do think that
Oh
was
yeah.
just an incredibly fun match to watch. Even if you're not a huge fan of playing against Freeze or playing Freeze, you got to hand it to him. That was just a great match in general.
It was fun to watch. I like me some Freeze.
And with that being said, folks, this does bring us to a game number 3. Set point lined up on the board here. Either player could take it. Let's go ahead and get to match number 3 right now. All right, folks, and game number 3 is underway. And I think we're seeing Allen dip back into the old well a little bit here.
Yeah, his classic, his go-to, his first half of the season.
Yep, his first half, and not of this season, but even back in the first season. This is just what he ran, what he was successful with, and he's just dipping back into the well. While game number 1 was successful, game number 2 probably was just, not so
It was a
confident in the
perfect counter pick.
and it got him a little nervous. So we'll see.
Let's see, and what's he up against? So he's up against. This should be a pretty even. Well, they're both playing. White green, which I assume is going to be buildings and ranged, but there are other options.
We'll see. Meanwhile, Jump starting out with the Faithful Drake here. Plays. Oh, no. No.
Early Tarius.
You hate to see it. If you're anyone.
He's got companions.
He
got
does.
companions.
He does. But, I'm just saying in general. It never feels good to watch Tarius pop out of a Matty, especially with a deck that isn't natively yellow. In this,
Yeah.
you don't want to see that extra draw power being thrown on top of a deck that doesn't natively have that option. It just gives it so much unnecessary power in their draw going into, the rest of the game.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely favoring Allen, not only from the current board state, but just in the matchup as well. Green, blue, Mystic Rats is really good at dealing with ranged and backline stuff.
Oh, well, there's a Spiny, so there we go.
Okay, we've at least evened the playing field a bit now.
You were right, I was wrong. He puts the Faithful into Allen's Faithful as well here, so it will dictate how Allen will trade on the board here. Southport into the Spiny, following up with, I assume, the Dragon Knight to finish off that Spiny here, and we're just going to get, looks like a clean trade here to kind of even out the board a little bit here.
Okay. And so it's at this exact second in Jump's favor, but looking at Allen's hand, he's got the Mystic Rats, he's got a Mordock, he's got a Blacksmith to go along the Mystic Rats, and he's got a Mercenary in case he pops down a big ranged unit.
Or
that turnabout's fair play.
Oh,
Twice. Jesus. Oh, but it's he's got it. He's got the Mordock. Ooh. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
think he'll have any route to that Tarius, but it's still gonna hurt.
yeah, it'll be the
What,
four
do
from.
you even play the Mordock next round, or do you execute the Tarius?
I mean, the thing is, I really don't think Mordock's necessary here. In a way, I think it's more impactful if we start setting up for the Mystic Rat to remove that Tarius. But I mean, now that Jump, excuse me,
Oh,
threw that
he
Tarius
moved it
up,
up.
yeah, it allows the unit to get a little closer here to deal some additional damage, which is unfortunate. But okay, that's fine here. We'll see if maybe Jump can buff that Tarius up by one attack here to remove that problem of Mordock without
Yeah,
doing another
I don't know. I
unit.
still think I might have gone for the Mercenary because that would have still let you play Mordock the next turn, and
Mm-hmm.
letting him get an extra draw off the Tarius plus potentially just range killing Mordock feels awfully bad.
Right. See another Maddie. Oh my God.
Another one.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Oh Jesus Christ! What game am I in? What? Who is this? Oh my God! You know what?
And a clean trade there. Not perfect. He got the good spawn.
Yeah, not perfect for
Does he
Jump.
shoot
Perfect
it
for
or does
Allen.
he pull back and just hang on to his range?
I
Ah,
think
he
he
shoots
shoots
it.
it. Yeah, he's got another one. Why
Yeah.
not? Why not waste the first
Eh,
one?
it figures, my hand is big enough, and besides, he's going to start coming from my back row soon, anyways. So.
Now I'm curious to see if he's gonna take the mercenaries execution onto the fresh Tarius rather than setting up here. I mean, he could go Shaman Blacksmith, setting up for some
Uh,
Mystic Rat
no,
stuff.
I'd be setting up for the rats because at this point, his hand is so big, extra draw from Darius is a moot point.
That's true. Yeah.
So I'd be setting up for the rats personally, because especially because the rats will then in turn answer Tarius.
I think he's playing an execution on the Tarius next turn actually to give himself more ramp for an explosive Mystic Rat play alongside the Temple.
Be. I mean, I don't know. I still like this. Yeah, it's probably a little early for Mystic Rat. So maybe that is the right play.
I mean, on a board state where Jump has to get range units out to really get things going, if you throw a Mystic Rat out at him too fast, then his deck's gonna have a difficult time responding here. Maybe more so now that we have the Call for Aid play, assuming that there aren't going to be enough bodies coming out simultaneously. That's the right word, to deal with all of those rats.
Yeah, see, yeah, I think you go Mystic Rats here if he can clean up that building, but he might not be able to. Uh,
Although he does have two sets of Mystic Rats in his hand, let's not
right.
forget that. He just
He
drew the
would
second
need
Mystic,
he'd need another buff to be able to clear up that building.
and he doesn't have it. He could play the additional Mystic Journey, but that just seems
Yeah,
way
if he
too
goes
heavy.
for the double journey, it's not a bad play though. Just he's up against a deck that has zero AOE, so I'd consider it.
He uses it on the
Oh, he
Shaman.
mystics the shaman. Now
Yeah,
that I
I don't think he meant to do that.
oh
I think that might have been a
oh
misplay.
mistakes were made. Yeah, because a second mystic on that rat
Yeah, he's
versus
freaking out.
a faction
He's
color with zero AOE. He's still in an okay position,
Oh yeah, don't get us
but
wrong here. I mean,
that was sad. Like that was very sad to see.
yeah, he could have gotten a lot more rats on this board here to just completely overwhelm Jump, but numbers are less than
Um,
he wanted, so this could give Jump a
short
small
of a
window.
I was just about to say short of a random cleave boy, like that color faction's got no chance.
Oh, there's the swordsman. It does hit board here. We're gonna I mean,
Yeah,
if we're Allen, we might play Armory Temple for next turn here. At least that's what it looks like
yeah,
here.
that feels good. That'll get a lot of work. Uh oh, stream dead.
No,
No,
stream's
okay,
just a
we're
little
back.
laggy behind, unfortunately, here. Hence, I mean, the problem of using Discord streams, you do get these little breaks here. We do get
Yeah.
that end board
Temple
result.
Armory, hard to go wrong.
Yep. I think he can only actually no. He just plays Temple because of that upkeep. He was forced to keep the rat upkeep, which
Oh right, I
he
forget
does end up
about
playing the
that.
Temple, and it is just going to be enough to clean the board anyway.
Yeah,
Let's not kid
so
ourselves here. I think this is. I mean, it's not. We're not dead yet, but. Whew.
no, Trump could still swing it around with that massive hand size, but it sure ain't looking good, especially with that backup rat in hand.
Well, I think
Like,
what I see the next few turns playing out as, at least in my opinion, we're gonna have to probably force this Spartan to the Rat King. We might get a Ranger out to clear off the Shaman if we have no other clean ways. However, that's gonna prompt Allen to probably just Merc Rat King in the following turn. Okay, Lumberjack. So
I
we
wonder
use
if he runs Finrer. That would be another good answer to the position he's in.
or another Swordsman. Okay, not really revealing the Rangers in hand yet,
Does
but
he doesn't main deck those swordsmen, does he?
no, he
He
does.
sided them in because
No, he
he
does.
does? Okay.
Swordsman is, I think,
Okay.
three of in this deck. I mean,
But it's a solid card.
especially in a swarm-based environment where we're seeing a lot of things like
Yeah.
Mystic Rats running around.
In a swarm meta, in a faction color combination that doesn't have AoE, it's a good pick.
Yeah,
I,
I'm fine with it. I'm happy with
I
it.
think I usually end up going for Finrer for, pseudo AoE. But, Swordsman's he's a classic. He's solid.
So we're gonna see the Onslaught on the Bard here to remove that, as well as the Armory to get our Blacksmith just enough power to smack over the Swordsman, although I think we had that with just the Armory. And we'll also have the Elvish Thief here to assert some more board pressure, get some dominance back on the board here. Obviously, jump maybe not in the best position to respond to this, but we'll see.
Still in Allen's favor, despite that very unfortunate misplay. Well, misclick, not misplay. Uh,
I mean, it looked like he was just
but
fully intending
Jump's
to.
Jump's definitely got a chance. Like he's
Yeah.
got superior hand size. We know he's got Rangers in hand. Yeah, that double Ranger is a big deal. So I don't know.
Uh,
It might actually be a toss up at this point still.
well, this is going to be a clean 6 damage to face here, as he's going to
Yeah,
consider
that's gonna
Merking and
hurt.
Blacksmith. Yeah, so that's going to lead to
Yeah,
6 face
we're
damage.
reaching the point. If he draws another Mystic, it's game over.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely got at least one more in the deck for sure. This is going to force Jump to kind of be a little bit, I don't want to say aggressive, but he's only got like a few turns
Uh,
left here
yeah,
without healing. He's
he
got to
has to
do
be.
something.
Yeah, no, it's super in Allen's favor again. Just after that punch to Castle there.
hmm I mean, I want
Just
to see maybe.
even without Mystic, just sudden death at this point's a concern.
I was going to say Soap Rampage a possibility, but no, we're just connecting the Ranger in here. We're not really. Do we not have them? I don't know. Centaur hits the board. Does 2 Centaur hit the board? Uh-oh, we're going to
Oh,
remove the
hey,
Armory.
clear that, clear those globals. Okay, he's not out yet. It's not looking good, but he's not out.
No, certainly not. We're going to play Rat
But
King for turn. I hope not.
yeah, get that draw. See what your options are.
Yeah, it's going to be an Elvish
He
Thief, it
still might
looks
have to
like.
play Rat King just because can't really afford a. Well, I guess he actually can afford a Ranger to face, but
Yeah, he can only set forward one shot. I mean, especially when
he's got.
sudden death
He's not
is.
sure. He's not sure.
Yeah, the fear setting in here. He does play the Rat King, which is fine. He can only put he can put one of them in. Actually, he's gonna go triple.
I would have probably just gone. I don't know. I don't like the Rat King right there. It wasn't a bad play. It was a tough position to be in. But I think I would have held off on my Rat King and just played the Elvish Thief because I would have put you in a similar position.
I mean, I think Allen is just kind of extending his hand for game here. He sees that there's only gonna be one turn left, and Jump's already at 4 health on his castle, which is only maybe like one
Yeah,
additional turn or two for
suppose he
4.
doesn't really need to play super cautious. He can
As long
just
as he
sort of go
defends
all
the
in.
current board state, as long as he kind of keeps
Yeah,
everything far from his castle, he's gonna clean up the set here quite easily. I don't really see Jump pulling
yeah.
any masterpieces
That
here,
that
especially
hobble
with the.
alone with those temples is really all he needs in this sudden death moment. I mean,
Yeah,
probably doesn't need to do anything at all other than just wait.
the Wizard Swordsman. Okay, those are 2 boys, certainly. They're not gonna do a whole lot though, I think.
And he's only got what one turn left
Uh, 2 if not
after this
1.
one. He's got
Yeah.
one turn after this one, unless I'm
Oh,
miscounting.
that would have been so nice to have this turn, just shutting him out completely with the Yenaroth. But the racking upkeep is going to force us to forego Yenaroth and just have to play the Elvish Thief. We can't even kill the wizard here. The rat is too far, and we can only deal 3.
Yeah, but I mean, he could if he lightning blade, but that feels bad. All he has to do is wait for sudden death. Just play it safe.
Yeah. I mean, he's got this turn here. We'll see if Jump can pull out some kind of miracle play.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like some sort of like rampage Finrer. No, this is it. This is his only turn.
Unfortunately, the swordsman could have potential here, but its attack is just not strong enough. He's got no time to solidify it on the board. Like he needed that swordsman on face sooner. Like yeah,
There's the rampage.
there's the rampage. Are we gonna see? Okay, wizard running back, running over this. That's cool. He now can hit from the hovel. Deal clean
Oh,
4 there. It's just too
just
little, too late. Oh, the
still,
cannoneer. Yeah, like
yeah.
this would have been great to have if there wasn't. You know, if you had more life, but that 6 punch to the face was devastating. As we see the
Does he
respect
play the in or
toss.
off?
Nope.
No, he just passes.
Just going to pass, let the sudden death do its work. It doesn't have to extend anymore, and he sees that the game is over. And with that, Allen does take the set in a well-fought
Oh yeah, he
series.
had a pretty rough misclick there, but he had the matchup favor big time that time.
Yeah, I would say certainly. There is no denying that. And oh yeah, what a tough loss for Jump
That was a
here.
great set.
It was, but like unfortunately that this just goes to show that some players came in here while their skills are great, their deck choices are really starting to show the struggle, or at least the signs of struggle here. We saw it last time with Asteroid's deck. We're seeing it this time with Jumps. They're fun decks. They're really cool to watch and see play out, but unfortunately in a competitive environment like this, they're not going to stand up against the things that have been kind of working consistently, things like the Mystic Rats.
Some of them, some of them do like,
Right.
but the biggest issue is we're seeing some decks that are easily counterpicked. They're
That's true.
really strong and walk over a ton of matchups, but are pretty easy to counterpick, like white green. Like it is absolutely brutal to face if you aren't playing druids pretty much. But if you are playing any sort of like aggressive druid list or heavy burn list, it can roll over and have some problems. And uh,
Right. Right. No,
or conversely, the Crusader druids, it's all tempo. If you have an answer to tempo like freeze, it just folds.
right.
They're really good, solid lists, but the biggest issue is the counterpick
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I would certainly say that. But I mean, with that being said, we do have a post game to look at here. Let's take a look at how match number 3 went to see how Allen won this set. Alright folks, and coming back after match number 3, the set point going to Allen, who takes it away with the classic Mystic Rats. Not surprising that he ended up winning this one, just because I think Allen's not only been comfortable with this deck, but because it's such a great matchup for him in this case here. But, I mean, he just went back to the well and it worked so well, and you can't really blame him for doing that, especially since that near traumatic experience, I would say, with game number 2. Overall, just did a lot of nice stuff, and we saw a lot of crazy things in this matchup. I mean, the literal
It was a
triple
very big
Tarius.
equal and opposite reaction throughout the set. We had hard counter game 1, hard counter game 2, and hard counter again game 3.
Not to mention, I mean, the triple Tarius from all of the Maddies.
There was no Crusaders in that match.
Yeah, 3
There were
Tarius
no
came out.
Crusaders in that match. Yep.
On top of that, the Mystic opportunity with the
Mystic
Rat King.
Shaman.
Mystic Shaman, which, I mean, after the matchup, he was preaching Mystic Shaman was the OP play. Sure it was, Allen. Sure it was. But yeah, overall, a great set here. Death, any extra words for these guys on their matchup here, match number 3?
Again, I think it really just came down to Allen got the good matchup in game 1 and game 3, and unfortunately, Jump was sort of having to play behind, only getting counter pick once, and it really showed there.
Yeah, it shows that in this little environment, in this format, winning game one can be crucial with the counter pick going back and forth between both players here. And it's something that I think I really enjoy seeing just because it gives a much more competitive feel to it, gives a lot more stakes in the matchup here. You're going up against a hard counter for your set win. You gotta be able to bring out all the stops. But that's just my opinion. I'm not sure how other people feel about it. But regardless, still a fun set. Great matchups here tonight.
Oh
And
yeah.
looking forward to see how these guys progress in the season here. Allen most likely going to earn maybe a spot in the playoffs. If not, he's going to be fighting for it. But for sure, probably sitting comfortably at a playoff position. Meanwhile, Jump's got some additional fighting to do, but we'll see how he does in the meantime. So, with that being said, guys, for me and for Death, that's going to be it for now. We're going to take you to the leaderboard here to show you guys how this match affects our standings.